With us now, Josh Hasten, talk radio host and journalist. Thank you so much for being with us. Netanyahu has a very difficult task ahead of him. It seems like the most likely chance for him, right, is to bring together the religious Zionism factions and the Ra'am party together around the same table. He's having meetings about that. What are the chances this will work out?
Well, right now you have the religious Zionist party, Bezalel Smotrich's party, saying under no circumstances will he sit in a coalition with the Ra'am movement, the Ra'am party. So at this point, something has to give, whether it's Bezalel Smotrich's party, whether it's Gideon Sa'ar's New Hope party, who made an election promise to his supporters that he would not sit under Netanyahu government. So something has to give, or Israel will be heading towards a fifth election. Somebody has to give in and break, unfortunately, for them politically, break pre-election promises. It has to happen, or we're headed to the polls.
What do you make then of this perhaps gap opening up within the religious Zionism faction? As you mentioned, Smotrich flat out ruling out sitting with Abbas under any circumstances. But Ben Gvir, in a recent interview, would not rule it out definitively. He gave a political answer without a clear, definitive statement when asked about that possibility. Are there cracks forming within the religious Zionism group?
Listen, each individual member of the party has his own opinion, and it's certainly extremely interesting what you're hearing right now, things maybe you would not have expected in the past. Again, nobody wants to be the fall guy. No individual, no party wants to be seen as the person who led Israel towards a fifth election. So it's really a balancing act on, again, those pre-election promises versus being pointed as the party to perhaps lead Israel to a fifth election. And I know that Netanyahu, from what I've heard reports, Netanyahu and the Yamina party of Naftali Bennett have already essentially labeled the religious Zionist party, Smotrich's party, as a scapegoat, more or less, if in fact they don't go ahead and accept the fact that Ra'am may support a potential government, even from the outside. That being said, a government with Ra'am could be very, very unstable. Certain issues could come up, whether it's Israel's policies in Gaza, which could lead to a breakup of that minority-led government at that point. And then we'd be heading to a fifth election anyway. So it's very, very difficult at this point to say exactly what's going to happen. A lot of different potential scenarios, but in fact, what will happen? What will the religious Zionist party do, or individual members do, in terms of agreeing to supporting a Ra'am party? It remains to be seen.
You mentioned that no one wants to be the fall guy here. No one wants to be, the patsy in the reason we go to a fifth election. Where then does that leave Naftali Bennett? He's meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. There's speculation, perhaps, is he also talking with Yair Lapid at the same time? He's talking with Netanyahu. Who trusts who at this point?
Who trusts who? That is a very, very difficult question. But, Bennett met with the Prime Minister several days ago, and he definitely has to have a contingency plan if those talks don't work, if Naftali Bennett decides he is not going to take the chance. And after many, many tumultuous years with the Prime Minister, if he decides to not support the Prime Minister and go with Yair Lapid, I mean, he has to have that as a backup in case it doesn't work right now. So that remains to be seen. But it is still possible if Netanyahu cannot form a government, cannot get to the 61, then Naftali Bennett has the backup plan of going perhaps with Yair Lapid and some of the other parties, Labor, Blue and White, and trying to form, at least if the president gives Yair Lapid that mandate, trying to form I guess you would call it an anti-Netanyahu coalition. Naftali Bennett, originally on election night, we said he was kingmaker, and perhaps he's still in that role to some degree, but it looks like, as you mentioned, it looks like the Ra'am party at this point, they could be the real kingmakers as the coalition talks move forward.
Absolutely. Josh, thank you so much for being with us.